Hello and welcome to the Craft Beer Corner. For today's beer review, we're jumping into another beer from Westbrook Brewing Company out of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. We recently reviewed their 10th anniversary beer, which was kind of a peanut butter hazelnut s'mores flavored stout. Absolutely fantastic. I've had many beers from Westbrook, and all of them that I've had have been great. Today, completely different direction from their 10th anniversary Big Imperial Stout. This one is a sour beer, and specifically a key lime pie flavored sour. If you've watched my channel for a while, you know that I absolutely love key lime pie. It's my favorite type of pie. I absolutely love it. That's the local Florida boy in me. And I grab any beer that I see that's key lime pie flavored. So they classified this one as a sour ale. I don't know if it's just kind of a generic sour, maybe if it leans more along the lines of a Berliner Weisse or a Gosa. We'll see when we jump into it, but it clocks in at 5% ABV. This one's called Key Lime Pie. PI is in 3.14, pie, not PIE. Not sure the significance of that, but nonetheless, that's how they spelled it. In terms of label art, it absolutely gets you in the mood. Nice multi-tiered green, kind of a gradient on there. And they do tell you on the side of the can that for every 7 barrels of beer, they use 22 key lime pies. Not just key lime the fruit, actual key lime pies into the beer. So it's going to be infused with graham cracker. It's going to have the key lime kind of mixture in the middle. It's going to have the vanilla cream on the side. It's going to have the full Monty. So I'm really excited to try this one. The art on the label looks great, gets me in the mood. Let's get this cracked gently. We're going to get this poured in our nice all-purpose glass. All right. Yeah, this is looking nice. Very nice pale yellow. Actually has a slight tint of orange to it as I'm pouring it. I can see this slight orange hue, which is very interesting. I didn't expect to see that, but it looks very, very nice. It is a sour. This one seems to be pretty active in terms of carbonation, and it's a sour, so I don't want to be agitating that any more than I have to. Did form a decent head to start, but it's a sour beer. We don't really want a head on a sour. A mouthful of sour foam is not ideal, so we're going to let that settle for a minute. Yeah, visually, it's slightly occluded. Given that they put actual key lime pies into the mix, I'm not surprised it's a little bit cloudy. In terms of carbonation, it's very, very active. I see a nice mix of small, medium, and large bubbles kind of rushing up to the surface, hence why it did form a relatively creamy head. That is already nearly dissipated down to the top level of where the actual beer is. So I might have a tiny little bit of foam on the top and a little bit of clings, but it's very active in terms of carbonation. So let's get right up over this for a good sniff. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Oh, that smells really, really good. You can very clearly smell the sour and the tart and pungency of key limes. Limes, I love them. Key limes are distinctly different from normal limes. And there's a reason that they use them in key lime pie. They have a little bit more astringency in terms of tartness and a little bit less on the acidity side. So a normal lime, they're very akin. A lime is still going to taste distinctly like a lime, but key limes are quite a bit different. They're also quite a bit smaller than your average lime, and they tend to be a little paler shade of green than a traditional lime. Traditional lime almost like a deep true green, almost bordering on with tinges of blue in it that make a dark kind of forest green color. A key lime is much, much lighter in shade. Often we'll have little specks of yellow in there, but they're much smaller fruit, a little more dense, a little more tart, but way less acidic. So this smells the part. And being that they did use full actual key lime pies in the making of this, I can tell you on the nose, aside from the sour and the tart and the actual key lime that jumps out at you, there is definitely an undercurrent of vanilla. Traditional key lime pies do have vanilla flavored whipped cream around the outside. It's on a graham cracker crust. That's the key to the pie, and it smells absolutely fantastic. So it looks the part, it smells the part. That head has gotten out of the way as I expected. Just a little bit of cling on the sides, tiny pat on the top. We're going to jump right in, see what this one's about. Oh, oh yeah. Oh man, that's a home run of a beer, Westbrook. Absolutely fantastic. So, the fact that on the beer they just called it a sour ale, they didn't subcategorize it, they didn't say Berliner Weisse, they didn't say Gosa, just sour ale. I don't think that this is trying to be any of the classic German sour styles. I think it's its own animal. It's just a sour flavored ale, and that's exactly what they produced here, and it absolutely is utterly delicious. Utterly delicious. I've had many, many key lime pie flavored beers. Some have been equally as good as this. Some have missed the mark for my money, but I always enjoy trying them. This is one of the best ones I've had. It truly does taste like key lime pie. I would not say this puts me in mind at all of a Berliner Weisse, which are subtly soured, or a Gosa, which has kind of a salty, briny back to it. Not at all. This is a sour ale flavored like key lime pie, and you can absolutely taste it. So when you first swallow, the first thing that hits you is just this rush of key lime. Behind that, you absolutely taste that graham cracker from the crust. The graham comes through very clearly, and it tastes like a honey graham. I don't think that they added lactose in this, but still the presence of that graham cracker crust, the honey in the graham cracker, really is quite prevalent, so you can taste it. As opposed to an unflavored graham cracker or like a cinnamon crust, this one distinctly tastes like a honey graham cracker, like a honey-made Nabisco honey-made graham cracker. That's what it puts me in mind of. And that vanilla cream does make a presence. You can actually truly taste that. It comes in on the back end, but it is quite clear. It truly does taste like key lime pie in beer form. Let's talk texture. The mouthfeel on this one, as soon as you start to agitate on the palate, it really thickens. It gets very, very thick. It's got a ton of resistance across the palate. But in terms of the body, the heft of it, it is not a weighty beer. This does not feel heavy at all. I would say it's kind of on the light end. 5%, not a super high ABV, but when you feel a beer that has that much resistance, has so much silky creaminess to it, you almost expect it's going to add a little additional weight to the beer. It does not in this case. The body is nice and light, but it's got a lot of viscosity, and you swallow, and it's just a wall of key lime pie. Absolutely delicious. I'm going to jump in for a second sip here, let the flavors re-intensify, make sure I didn't miss anything, then we're going to talk about the finish, but very, very well done beer, exquisitely balanced. Let's jump in. Dive 2. It's incredible how thick that gets. Yeah, just key lime immediately. Big burst. Very tart, slight suggestion of sourness, but big face full of key lime. That holds a good 9-10 seconds. Then the graham cracker from the crust starts to creep in. Just a couple seconds after that, the vanilla underlying flavor from the cream starts to creep in. So all of these underlying main flavor elements of a key lime pie are really making their presence known. They all have their own voice. They all come through crystal clearly. You can't miss it. It's key lime, it's graham cracker, honey specifically on the crust, and vanilla for the cream. Absolutely comes through. Now in terms of finish, this is a sour ale. This is not a barrel-aged stout or anything like that. It's not a West Coast style IPA that's got 150 IBUs. It's just a sour ale. So the finish is not super duper long. For a sour, it's longer than your average, and it really comes down to the pungency of flavor. This may only be 5% ABV, but key lime pie is a big, bold flavor, and this has a big, bold flavor. It's very prevalent, and it's really that lingering tartness of the key lime that kind of sticks with you on the end of the finish. There's no suggestion of dryness like you get on a Berliner Weisse or on a Gosa. It's just a standard sour ale, and it doesn't dry out the back of the palate. But there is lingering tartness and key lime flavor that floats on the back of the palate. It's very subtle, but it's still there even 20-30 seconds after each sip. So very nice finish. Get a lot of mileage after each sip. Absolutely fantastic. If you're a fan of key lime pie or key lime pie flavored beers, this is one you definitely want to check out. I'm going to take my time, sip on this, count my scores. When we come back, we'll get this one ranked from top to bottom. All right, now that we've gotten to enjoy this beer, we're going to get it ranked. This was Westbrook Brewing Company's Key Lime Pie, a key lime pie flavored sour ale, clocking in at 5% ABV, based in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. That's where Westbrook Brewing is located. And this specific one got its key lime pie flavoring just by exactly as it sounds, the addition of actual whole key lime pies. So a little bit different tactic than the average key lime pie flavored beer brewer, but one that I think paid dividends. So let's go through these rankings. Starting with the aroma, this was one of those classic, just very strong pungent aromas. Only a 5% in this beer, but key lime pie is a pretty big, intense aroma as well as flavor, and it really came through quite clearly in this beer. Had a good bit of carbonation that helped to really bring those aromas up to the top, and it smelled exactly as I expected, just like a key lime pie. The aroma gets a 9 out of 10. For the taste, this was easily one of the best key lime pie flavored beers I've had to date. I absolutely loved it. You could get the nice tartness from the key limes, a little bit of sour because it is a sour ale, but the graham cracker also came through, the subtleties of the fact it tasted like a honey graham cracker crust, and the vanilla from the vanilla cream. It was all in there. Everything had its own voice, worked perfectly together. The taste does get a perfect 10 out of 10. For the body, this was really quite a light beer. Not that high ABV, but even for 5%, it was lighter than I anticipated. So I just gave it average. Body gets a 5 out of 10. For the mouthfeel, on this one was excellent. It was silky, silky smooth. As you agitated around the pellet, it really thickened up. And it didn't feel out of place for the sour. Normally with the sours, you kind of get a little bit of a mix depending on the style. This one really felt right because it was key lime pie, and key lime pies are dense pies. So the mouthfeel kind of thickening and giving resistance as you agitated around the pellet really helped, especially considering it had a light body. So completely different mouthfeel sensory experience, but overall, I loved it. Mouthfeel gets a 10 out of 10. For the finish, this was only a 5% ABV beer, and yes, it's just a sour, but the pungency of the flavors and the ingredients they added really drove the length out on the end of this beer, significantly longer than your average sour. Finish does get an 8 out of 10. For the head and retention, this one tried to form a head a little bit at the beginning. It pretty quickly got out of the way. On a sour beer, that's what you want. Head and retention, I gave a 9 out of 10. For the appearance, this looked exactly as I expected for a sour ale, especially one that had whole key lime pies in it. Nice, light golden yellow color, slight bit of occlusion, and looked fantastic. Appearance gets a 10 out of 10. For the balance on this beer, I absolutely loved. Whatever malt bill that they chose to go into this base beer style was superbly chosen. The yeast strain, everything that they put into this beer worked exactly how they intended to make a key lime pie flavored beer, and it really tasted the part. I absolutely loved the balance on this. Balance gets a 10 out of 10. Filling in the intangible, subjectively I loved it. I'm a massive fan of key lime pie. I try all key lime pie beers that I see. This was one of the best ones I've had to date. Feeling intangible does get a 10 out of 10. Finally, is an example of the style. This was just an exceptionally well done. Not just for a key lime pie flavored beer, but also for a sour. This beer could, pit itself against many sours, depending on any sub-style, and the fact that it was key lime pie flavored was just the added bonus for me. As an example of the style, it gets a perfect 10 out of 10, which brings the total score on Westbrook Brewing Company's key lime pie to a 91 out of 100. This is a well above average beer. If you're a fan of key lime pie flavored beers or have yet to try one but you like the pie itself, give yourself a chance and try some. If you find some, well worth it. Most of them are done extremely well. This is one of the best I've had to date, and I've probably had 10 or 15 of them now. Absolutely loved it. I highly recommend this beer. Folks, that's today's review. As always, I do sincerely appreciate you tuning in today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to stay in the loop when our videos go live, just turn on your notifications, hit that bell icon. It's right next to the subscribe button. Until next time, keep it beer, keep it craft. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.